Commercial breed, heritage breed, which chicken is right for you on your small farm? On today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about different breeds of chickens, whether they're commercial or heritage varieties, what we chose to do, and what may be right for you. Stay tuned. I don't know how long I'm going to last out here today. It is frigid cold. I'm actually coming outside because I want to refill the chicken's water. We filled it this morning and it's already frozen. Normally, with the weather we've been having, we just do this once a day. I've been coming out in the morning and I have chicken poop on my hands and water on my jeans now. Awesome. I was saying, normally we do this once a day. We do it in the morning. And the temperatures have been such that it stays liquid, usually until like that night. Like sometime during the night, it ends up going to ice again. But today, with the temperature being as cold as it is, the wind being what it is, I don't know if you can see that up there. It's blowing real good. Everything iced up. We had to go to Lowe's for the morning. We got back from Lowe's at like 1 and we had filled them at like 9:30 before we left. And they've iced up already. Or they were iced up when we got back. So I'm filling them up again. We do have the heated waterer back in the coop going as well, so that's been all right. They've got water there. This is just extra for the ducks to splash around in. Everyone's doing okay. Head count, I mean, looking around, they're all still here, so even with the super cold weather we've had, everyone is doing okay. I like giving everybody a lot of cracked corn in the winter. The corn, as opposed to other grains, it keeps them a lot warmer, lets their digestive system build up a lot of heat. Feeding it in the afternoon gives them the ability to have that inside of them generating heat when they're roosted in a couple hours. All right, we're gonna see how long we last out here. It's windy and it's cold, so I'm gonna hang out with the birds as long as I can, and we're gonna talk a little bit about heritage breed chickens versus commercial laying chickens and the differences between the two and which might be right for you in your small farm or homestead, or if you're looking to have an egg laying business. You know, there's differences for each. So the first thing you need to consider when you're looking at whether you want to bring in commercial layers or heritage breed layers is, what are your intentions for your flock? One of the big differences between the two is gonna be their egg laying ability. Commercial breed layers, they were bred to do one thing, and that is lay tons of eggs, lay those eggs consistently in terms of size, shape, and color. And that's really all they were bred for. They weren't bred for looks, they weren't bred for anything else. So if you're looking to have eggs all the time, commercial layers might be something you want to look at. They're not going to slow down as much in the winter like a heritage breed tends to do. You know, you're going to see on most of your commercial layers ranges between 300 to 350 eggs a year per chicken, whereas you might come close with some heritage breeds to that 300 eggs a year. You know, your Leghorns, which are definitely an egg-oriented heritage breed, they're going to lay up to 300 a year. They're not going to lay all the way through the winter, though. They're going to slow down on you, as opposed to a commercial layer, which is just going to lay eggs all year long, no matter the light situation, no matter the temperature. They're just they're laying eggs. They're going crazy. The thing to watch there with these commercial layers is that they were bred to work in commercial settings. So you can see right now it's approximately 20 degrees with a crazy wind chill. It doesn't affect them as much as it affects me. But a lot of commercial layers are not necessarily equipped to handle really cold temperatures, really variable temperatures in terms of rain, water, things like that. There are different commercial breeds out there that have different abilities when it comes to this. So it's provided that you get one for your region, where you're going to be and how you're going to house them, you could definitely make it work. So commercial layers are going to lay a lot more eggs per year than a heritage breed. What is the drawback to this? When a chicken's born, it's born with a certain number of eggs inside of it that it's going to hatch over its lifetime. And if you are laying these eggs really quickly, you're going to burn through that supply a lot faster. You'll typically see commercial layers lay 2, maybe 2, a little bit longer sometimes than 2 years. And then their egg production drops off pretty drastically after that. With heritage breeds, it's not uncommon for them to lay most of their lives. Granted, their biggest egg production is going to be from about 1.5 years up to 3 years. But we've had barred rocks here that they've laid into 5 and 6 years old. Eventually, 7 years for a chicken is pretty old. Some do go longer than that. But if you have a chicken at 6 years old laying eggs, that's really good. You're not going to see that from a production layer, bar none, if they even make it to 6 or 7 years old. So that's something to think about if you're not going to be expanding your flock, if you're not looking to add chickens every year. Going with a heritage breed chicken that is oriented toward egg production, you're going to have a much longer laying hen than if you had just gotten a commercial layer, which is going to last you 2, maybe 3 years. Another consideration with all of the egg laying that a commercial breed will do is their feed conversion. You really don't hear feed conversion talked about a whole lot on Homestead side of things, because typically it's something that a lot of commercial producers reserve for discussion. It doesn't play in as much for homesteading. But it is something to think about if you're concerned about how much feed you're going to be going through, because those commercial layers, while they lay a ton of eggs, if you don't need all the eggs they're producing, you don't need all the food that they're going to be eating. If there's a chicken that's laying 200 eggs a year and then there's a chicken that's laying 350 eggs per year, obviously the chicken laying 350 eggs per year needs way more food. So if you're a homesteader and you're going to be looking to not necessarily rely so much on an outside grain mill to get all the feed for your chickens, you might want to consider heritage birds, because they're going to be able to do a little bit better in terms of needing less food. From a foraging standpoint, those heritage birds are going to do a lot better. Which leads us into the next bullet point, which is hardiness and overall self-sufficiency. This harkens back a little bit to the comment I made a few minutes ago when I said that commercial layers were bred to live in commercial producing environments, whether that be a gigantic egg laying house, whether that be a barn with access outside. They were bred to be in situations where the birds were a little bit more protected. They weren't necessarily out and about and foraging like we do with our birds. So just to be blunt about it, heritage breeds will tend to be a little bit more hardy than your commercial layers. And that is just because they've been bred over time to be birds that are out and about and doing various things instead of just laying eggs. From a self-sufficiency standpoint, broodiness is also a trait that's been bred out of these commercial layers. If you want to have your birds hatch your own chicks every year, every spring you want to increase your flock a little bit, and having the chickens do it for you versus using a plug-in incubator, that's a great option to have. And by and large, your heritage breeds are going to be better at that than your commercial layers. That's not to say that commercial layers won't go broody, and that's not to say that heritage breeds will always be broody. There's plenty of heritage breeds out there that are terrible mothers. But by and large, just from a generalization standpoint, your heritage birds are going to be more broody and more likely to hatch out viable young than your commercial layers are going to be. You'll also see people touch on cold hardiness of commercial breeds versus heritage breeds and say that heritage breeds are more cold hardy than commercial breeds. In my opinion and my experience, that isn't so much of an issue. Here we are, it's really cold, and we've got both commercial and heritage breeds in the yard. We have heritage breeds that don't do so well in the cold, and we have commercial breeds that do really well in the cold. So I don't take that too much into account of it, because there's breeds on both sides that work well for what we're doing. Another thing you probably want to consider is appearance. While I think there's plenty of commercial breeds out there that look really great, we have ISA Browns, and I think they're beautiful birds. They're like a cinnamon red with some whitish fringing around the neck. It's a really pretty bird. But your heritage breeds, they're going to tend to be a little bit more spectacular. If you look at things like Polishes with the crests that they have, or if you look at your silver-laced Wyandottes, which have a really striking silver versus black sheen on their feathers. These are chickens that over time farmers grew to look really cool. That's kind of what they were selected for. It's not to say all heritage breeds look great. You have white leghorn behind me. Plain white chicken, nothing really striking visually about it. That's a heritage breed right there. So in the end, it all comes down to what you think looks appropriate for you. If you want a certain look to the flock on your farm or homestead, then go for it. Try and find a bird in a particular pattern that works for what your end goal is. So what did we do, you might ask? We did a little bit of everything. If you look at our flock, you're gonna find white leghorns, which is a production-oriented heritage breed. You're gonna find ISA Browns, which is definitely a production-oriented breed. Tons of eggs out of them. You're gonna find one Polish, which is the second half of Tweedledee and Tweedledum. We used to call them. They're kind of, Polishes are not the smartest chickens out there, but it's a heritage breed chicken. It's not really known for anything except for the crest on its head and looking really cool. We ran pretty much the full gamut when we brought chickens onto our homestead. We wanted eggs that looked pretty, so we got a bunch of Easter eggers, which is a whole nother video we're going to talk about. We wanted chickens that looked good, so we got our blue Andalusians, we got our Polishes, we got some buff Orpingtons, which I think are really great looking chickens. They're also really good egg layers. And then this past spring, when the pandemic really took off and people were looking for eggs because they couldn't find them in the stores, we knew to bring on some production-oriented breeds. So we got our ISA Browns, which are a commercial laying breed, and then we got our white leghorns as well, which are a heritage breed that's known for its egg production. What you really need to do is just sit down and take a good look at what your thoughts are for your small farm or homestead. You may be in a suburban area where all you want are a few chickens just to have eggs for your family, and that's great. You can go with a couple heritage breeds. I would say 2 or 3 heritage chickens per person in your family. That will give you tons of eggs in the summer and probably keep you in eggs all winter long. And you may want to go into the pastured egg business, and in that case, you're going to want production-oriented breeds, whether they're heritage or commercial layers. Obviously, commercial layers in a given environment that works for them, they're going to do really well, and a lot of those birds, they're going to eat more feed and pasture less, but they'll still produce tons of eggs that you can sell for a great price to people locally or even to restaurants and stores around you if your state permits that sort of thing. So hopefully this video gave you an idea as we head into spring and you're going to be looking at chickens to maybe bring onto your farm or homestead. Maybe it give you an idea of what to look for, or spark the thought process in your head that says, hey, you know what? I hadn't considered that. Maybe I'm going to take a look at this commercial breed or this heritage breed and see how it does for me. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you're not already subscribed to the channel, and we'll see you real soon. Have a good day. Bye.